from Park.
We don't have a member from Teller County yet. We're going to have to nag them.
We're going to have to make an appeal, right? For Teller. Bill Bowles. Okay. Sharon Brown. I just joined from Fountain. Can you hear me? Hi, Sharon. I see you.
You see me?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm Dave Betzler from Monument, Tri-Lakes.
Monument.
Go through the list of everyone I've seen so far, and then Jessica, let me know if we are good to go. Does that work? I can start your roll call.
Sure.
Yes, we do have a quorum, so we can start the roll call.
Okay. So, Chair John, I will let you start your meeting, and then I'll go from there.
Well, let's start a call to order, establish a quorum and introductions.
All right.
I'm John DeVoe from Woodland Park. So whoever, Ann, you're next up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So here, I'll go through the list and name off everybody that we see. And then,
Sounds good.
how about that? That's how we typically do it. It makes it go quicker and we don't have to.
Jessica was not trying to take your job. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I don't want to take yours either. All right. So I've seen Oren, Sharon,
Yes.
Roy, John, Miley, Ed, Ann, Bill, Jessica M, Jessica B, Dave, PPACG staff and guests. Is there any other CAC members? Shelly, I see, has joined us. Let me mark.
Yep, Shelley, thank you.
Anybody else that I missed? Okay, so when you are speaking, just remember to say your name before a motion. That way we can catch that in the recording and record it in the minutes properly. Mute yourself if you're not talking. That way we don't get background noise or anything like that. And other than that, I turn it over to you, John.
Well, number 2 on the agenda is consent items, the agenda, minutes, and board financial reports. Do we have anybody that has any questions concerning those?
I do. I have a request to edit the agenda to move the second action item for transportation, Catherine's item, to go before the strategic plan item.
Okay. Anybody got a problem with that?
No,
I move that we do that. Sharon Brown.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Name?
Roy Rosenthal.
Okay, fine, thanks, Roy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay. That works. Okay, public comments, anybody? Let's see, the public can email general comments or comments regarding the agenda in advance. I mean, do we have anything that anybody has sent in?
No public comment was sent to me.
Okay. If that's the case, we'll move on to item 4, informational items. And on that, Laura Cruz, mobility coordinator.
I don't see Laura on,
online. Yeah.
and I believe she may be assisting with something. So let's move forward and then come back to her if that's all right.
Sounds good. Number 5, action items. Now, what did you move there? You moved something. Jessica, is the next one strategic plan update by Jessica McMullen?
no.
Nope, we moved that, so it's Catherine ahead of me.
Okay, Catherine Wigner, Senior Transportation Planner for the FY 21-24 TIP Amendment number 6.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to go first. I have another thing I have to attend, so I don't want to miss that as well. All right, so this is as you said, an FY 21 through 24 TIP amendment, and this is amendment number 6 request. So we had a request from CDOT to amend the TIP for the following items in your table on the memo. And so I'll go through those real quickly for those that you that might not be able to see the screen. So we have the sponsors, CDOT, for a project on I-25 South Academy Bridge. This is part of the larger build grant or the MAMSIP project that we've mentioned before. The project's already in the tip, and this would be to adjust funds. So they'd be reduced in FY22, and then they would add funds in 21 to keep the project whole. These are being made based on changes to the State Bill 267 funds that were drastically reduced due to COVID. And so they're replacing them and trying to keep projects whole with SDP or federal funds. The next one is a similar situation for Fillmore Garden of the Gods Road. That's a reconstruction project. And it's reducing funds in FY22 and adding them in 21, 23, and 24. And then finally, the US 24 Woodland Park project, also an overlay reconstruction project, to reduce funds in FY23 and add them in 22 and 24 to keep that project whole as well. And attachment 1 explains the amendment request, and TAC recommends approval to the board, and we request your recommended approval as well.
What are you liking us to do? Is this something you'd like us to approve at this point?
Your proposed motion would be recommend the board of directors approve amendment number 6 to the FY21 through 24 tip.
Is there any comment or discussion at this point before we do that?
I have a question. Patty Bencher. Catherine, when they are reducing funds in some of these fiscal year, like for instance, the first item where they're reducing funds in 22 and adding funds in 21, is it changing the total cost of the project at all? What is the total implication on these projects between the reduction and the addition of funds?
It's my understanding that they're keeping the projects whole, and so they're not changing the total of them. They might have, I'm not certain that they didn't reduce some of them and maybe found some areas for cost savings, but as far as what they told me was they were keeping the projects whole by these project costs.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I will make a motion to recommend to the board of directors approving amendment number 6 to the fiscal year 21-24 tip.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Who seconded? Give me a name for the record. The second?
Dave Betzler.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving Catherine's recommendation, please signify by, excuse me?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay, motion, recommendation approved.
Thank you.
Okay, has Laura shown up at this point? Okay.
I don't see her yet, so let's
We're
move
gonna
on to
get to
the
adjournment before she comes, but we don't want to do that.
We'll make her come next month then, or I can summarize what.
Jessica, do you want to wait and go on before we go to your section on strategic plan? What's your pleasure?
Let's go to the strategic plan and.
Okay, floor is yours.
So, as you guys know, in October of 2018, the Board of Directors approved their first strategic plan in the 50 years of PPACG. It was developed through coordination with the board members, with staff, and with all of our committees, giving a chance to give us some input and feedback. And one of the things that said and that we really lived for is that it be a living document, that it be something that actually gets used and is an actual part of what PPACG does. Well, a lot of stuff has changed in the last 2 years, especially very recently, the rapid changes happening with COVID. So we wanted to provide an update to the strategic plan to ensure it reflects the new opportunities and ideas, but also to reflect a lot of the progress already made so far. In the initial strategic plan in 2018, under the aging, we had said we really wanted to help coordinate and create a portal for coordination of aging resources. Well, the aging portal is out. It came out earlier this year, so we don't need it in the strategic plan anymore. So this year, the board developed small groups who each reviewed a section of the plan and suggested updates to it. And then these updates are in the attachment for you all to look at. We took it to the TAC, who had no feedback. We also took it to the RAC, who did have one suggestion where they'd like to add 2 words at the end of the last aging objective. And now you. So my goal today is to ask you guys for comments, for feedback, and things that you thought as you looked through it before. So the only thing I would like to share with you is what the RAC's comment was. Jess, I'm going to ask you to scroll down to the aging last objective. So under objective 4, under our aging goal, is support and advocate for technology access for seniors. Under the last of those strategies is continue to support provider expansion into telemedicine. And the RAC has asked us to expand that into telemedicine and human services. Because so much of what we've been doing in light of COVID relates to that. Would any of you like me to go over any of the feedback? Do you want me to walk through it one by one? What's the committee's pleasure?
Anybody have any questions, suggestions, criticism?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Bill.
Ed?
How often is this reviewed?
So the strategic plan actually
Is new.
it does not have a direct time frame for how often we review it. Because it's so new, it's the first strategic plan, we're working on determining what that best structure is. On the other hand, it is the board of directors gets a quarterly report on the progress from it. They get told what we've done, how far we've gotten, and any updates on each of the items. In addition, we also make sure that every single item that comes to the boards or committees is tied into what the strategic plan goals are that it relates to. So you'll see on all of our memos where there's a little box that tells you, what does this relate to? Is it information sharing? Is it advocacy? Is it aging? Is it transportation? Or is it program excellence? And we actually look to make sure that we're hitting those and that we're regularly touching on what the strategic plan means and is doing. But we don't have a regular schedule for update.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica, this is Dave Betzler. I've gone through it and I've got some changes or suggestions and comments on it. I'm not sure the best way to go about doing it. My comments are on info sharing, aging, and aging. So do you want me to go through that?
There are 2 different ways we can do this. We can either take them, you can send me all of your changes, or we can go through them as a committee. Ms. Chair John, which way would you prefer to do it?
How many changes do you have?
No, it's
Well, I guess it's probably about 6. Okay, well, let's start with the first one and see if we can get through them. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay, so if we look at info sharing first, in the first objective.
Okay.
If we can scroll to that.
Can you go to that, Jessica?
Which one did you want it to be on?
Info sharing, the first objective.
Sure.
Okay.
So this is coordinate, support, and advocate. So the thought there is that rather than, it's more of a comment. consider using 21C and the Pikes Peak Library District as in a collaborative partnership to do this. Oh wait, where are we looking at? Information sharing.
That's not it.
Yeah, hold on, let me see a second, because I'm not thinking that's,
Yeah. I think that's transportation. That's aging, so
It's on page
people up
13.
against information sharing.
Keep on going. It's on page 13.
Yeah. So this is talking about collecting and sharing information with regional partners. So the whole thought there is that rather than trying to determine this content and functionality should be included and develop the set of naming conventions, at least reach out to the Pikes Peak Library District, 21C, they're heavy into technology, and maybe have a collaborative partnership where they can help guide what we're actually doing here.
so I'll add in the current goal for this is for the GIS providers and the regional governments who share information to do this. It's not as, it's for the plans, studies, and resources of local government. So I will share your comment, but I think that you're seeing a slightly different direction of the goal than is intended.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just scroll down to the objective 2 there, make that. And in the second, under proposed strategies to replace, instead of focus on compatibility of data, focus on data standardization. It's a simple change, but I think it's really data standardization that you're talking about. For what it's worth.
And just so you know, I am going to ask you to send me all of your feedback so I can kind of share that more directly with the board. So what this is really saying is we want to make sure that our data is not limited by who owns it.
Right.
That second point, not ownership of data, is the focus of the proposed strategy.
Okay, I got it. Under aging, a couple there, under objective 2. Objective 2, okay, it talks about outreach and education efforts to seniors. So this is more of a comment, but I'll just kind of throw it out there. The Home Builders Association and the Parade of Homes has just ended. It's one of those opportunities, I think, where AAA, as they talk about here with the strategies to get the word out on the existence of AAA, our services, our partners, and our programs, this would be a great opportunity for the AAA to provide information for each of those homes where you have hundreds, if not thousands of people tramping through those homes. Some may pick up information on AAA. It might be a good opportunity just in addition to everything else that's going on. Related to that, we've all talked about the age-friendly community. We've got that designation from the UN and AARP. That's great. Maybe there needs to be a AAA seal of merit, where AAA then would say something, develop a seal, develop a little standard where they would say and provide to organizations, entities that actually are doing things that benefit seniors, whether it could be in this instance of the Parade of Homes and the Building Association, that seal, the AAA seal, could be a designation to indicate the builder is using zero entry capability shower, or that the electrical outlets are lower down, or that there is more lighting, or that the doorways are wider. All of these various types of things, it's another opportunity. And it's not necessarily something that needs to go in the strategic plan, but I think what I'm really trying to advocate for is that there's a broader and more innovative look at how to get the word out about the AAA.
I think that's also a great one that we should bring to the RAC and our aging team to really talk about how we can incorporate some of those ideas.
I'm ending up on, this is my last time for the RAC and I missed the last meeting, so that's why I'm mentioning it now. I apologize. And the other thing on objective 3, then that's the only other change or suggestion I'm talking about.
I actually have a comment on objective 2, if I might interrupt, Dave. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Before we move on. I really a question too. On the bullet point number 1, support online resources and expand traditional information sources for older adults. Was that intentionally different than language than seniors? And what is that difference?
Actually, it's part of an effort to address ageism and bias against older adults. Using the word seniors has some connotations that they're trying very hard to move away from. So you'll notice that I actually try very hard to limit the amount we use it unless I end up using older adults 12 times in a sentence.
That makes sense. I was just confused because the second bullet point refers to seniors, whereas the third bullet point again is older adults. That's just for variety then? Okay, perfect.
Make sure I'm not, but we are working on moving away from the language of seniors.
You know, John DeVoe, the advantage of being an older adult is we have much more knowledge because it's taken us longer to learn all this stuff. We don't need as much explanation because we understand it.
One other comment that I've made within the RAC and dealing with older adults and seniors is that another real area to focus on for expanding traditional information sources and approaches really is for our kids.
That's part of.
And that's a missed out. We've got to get the information out because we have this wealth of a large number of seniors that have gray hair, that are various stages of mobility and activity and all that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, it really is at that next generation, younger generation than us. Just a comment. Okay, so the last thing on objective 3 then that I had, I think it's talking about collecting information, support, and accessible, affordable housing information. If we can slide down just a little bit on the screen. So objective 3 here. To me, it's important to talk about the needs. Advocate for senior housing needs, housing for seniors, identify gaps or needs. That's all great stuff. But fundamentally, again, we have to be able to gather information and provide information on what currently exists or is in development. That's a fundamental interest, and I think it should be a priority and a focus. Because it's not just, continue to get out there and get on our little soapbox and beat on, we need. It has to be a little bit more on, okay, so who is really working to satisfy those needs? Some inroad or a little bit of progress. So that's that's enough on my hobby horse, but that's where I'm coming from on it. I'll wrap these up and send them off to you, Jessica, okay?
Thank you.
Patty, did you want to make a comment about that note that you put on there about the program that's available?
Certainly, I didn't want to interrupt anybody. Just the Housing and Building Association does have a certification program that is designed. I believe it's a 16-hour class that builders, physical therapists, and designers are targeted to work together. So the idea is to get them all in the same room to build or remodel homes so that people can stay in their own homes longer as they go through. And it talks about framing hallways, wider, different doorknobs, all the things that Dave had mentioned that are helpful for people as we get older. But there's a certification in existence already that you might be able to collaborate with them on.
I think that's a great point. The only other thing there would be that it's an interest and I guess it just has to be wider understanding that in fact that's the case. We've recently seen a number of initiative at the city level about the additional housing units, the ADUs or whatever they're called. Well, this would be what you just talked about, Patty, would be really appropriate so that as people consider building a mother-in-law suite or a father-in-law or whatever it may be, that, oh, there's already a guide out there, already some information about the types of things that we might consider putting into that new housing entity.
And we, in the past, when they were doing live events, we have worked with the HBA when they were doing housing-focused community events, so that we could talk a little bit about and make sure that they were discussing some of the aging concerns relating to each one of the topics that they had done.
Please don't take anything that I've said as being critical, Jessica. I'm really not. I know you guys are working really hard and doing really well. It's more of a thing, I think, that for the overall strategy, that we kind of get these points out before others, so that when they read it every once in a while, oh, maybe we should be doing a little bit, or what are we doing in that area? It just kind of foot stomps, if you will, some of the things that are already being done. So thank you for all your efforts.
Jessica, what are you looking for from us now at this point? Do you need to go back and
Our
refine
goal
it?
is to get a recommendation from the CAC to move the strategic plan to the board with comments from the committees.
Anybody like to make that motion?
Dave Betzler, I so move.
Second?
Sharon Brown, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 One thing I'd like to add, Jessica, is I want a free pair of hearing aids every year.
With rechargeable batteries.
Yes.
Okay. Last call for Laura Cruz.
So I will cover Laura's item real quick. We are going to be doing public comment opening October 1st through October 31st on the mobility coordination grant plan. So you will all be getting a notice from me tomorrow, actually, with the information on that and how to find what that looks like, and to provide comments so that all of the progress happening going forward and our plan for what we're going to do with mobility, we can get your comments and feedback. So Laura had more details about it that she could talk about, but I gave you the good quick summary.
And the traffic reduction efforts, that'll be along with that as well.
The traffic reduction presentation that we talked about will actually be next month. MMT is going to come and talk to us about what their current efforts and ongoing efforts are relating to that, based on requests at our last meeting. They just couldn't be here this month.
That's good. Good.
Thank you. Okay, anything on item number 8 about meeting and event schedule? Anybody have anything you want to cover on that? Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
I have something. This is Shelley Roars.
Okay, go ahead.
Jessica, I think I sent an email about getting an update on the West Side Community Center. Is it possible to get an update for that for next month?
I will work with that. I just don't have any, I will see what I can do for you. I have not had an opportunity to hear back from them on that request.
Thank you.
Come on, Ann, I know you want to say something. I can see it on your face.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to ask is, can we, I don't know if Samantha's available or not, but some more information, not only on water quality, as they're doing it, but water availability. To me, that's rather important here as we develop our state, and water is becoming an increasing problem. I don't know if the CAC or the RAC or whatever we are gets into that, but I've attended quite a few of the meetings online with the state, and there's just a lot of water being moved around for various purposes, and then there's also the storm water that's affecting just the stream life and everything, fires. That fits kind of into her niche of the environment. But I was just wondering about more on what she's able to do about water.
So on water availability, that's not something within the purview of PPACG within our environmental program. It is just water quality.
Water quality.
Relating to several very specific items within it. So there's our major report, our 208 plan, covers information on a lot of different things, but the addressing those issues and the detailed technical side are not something that we are involved in. I will ask Sam maybe if she knows if there's a city PHE person or Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment person that she knows of who may be able to come from the Water Quality Control Commission or one of those other groups.
And just speak to us, or I don't know. The other thing is, I noticed, I didn't print this out, but you know, we're all working on fire mitigation. And I don't know how that fits in. Green Mountain Falls is working hard with trying to get grants. I was glad to see you're trying to help communities know how to apply for grant help to get our forests under control, because then that also affects water quality. Every time there's a forest fire, it affects the water too. So I'm just kind of rambling along, but those are just concerns that I personally have.
And a quick comment on that mitigation thing. You're probably familiar with the Coalition for Upper South Platte.
Yes, I am. We work with them a lot in Green Mountain Falls.
Okay, yeah.
And
just want to make sure that you were aware of them.
It's just kind of hard to get everybody together.
Right, it sure is. One other note would be that this isn't political, but the Carver is a member of a committee that I believe is chaired by a House member representing Manitou Springs. And it's a 6 or 7 person committee that is focused on wildfire mitigation, wildfire prevention, wildfire preparedness. So that might be another option for you to consider with the local representatives here.
Yeah, who was that you mentioned?
Representative Terry Carver, T-E-R-R-I, Terry Carver. And I don't.
I think she does work with our
she
board.
does. Yes. Yeah, she's House District 20. And I think that's part of the area that she covers. But she can also tell you about the chairman of that committee that is, I think, lives in Manitou Springs. So it's really a statewide focused committee.
Oh, that's good. Well, I imagine that Green Mountain government knows about that. So, but I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You bet, Ann.
Anybody else have any comments or staff or whatever before we wrap this up? If not, Jessica Bechtel, I'll turn it back to you because you started this adventure and I'll let you end it.
I think that would be you. You can go ahead and adjourn your meeting if you're all set.
Motion for adjournment?
So move. Sharon Brown.
Second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for coming.